Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kyle Stamps channel. If you're a new viewer, welcome. We look at stamps, talk about stamps, and general collectibles on this channel. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at grills. Only one grill, specifically the E-grill. I have a supposed number 88 that should be an E-grill stamp, and I decided it's time to delve a little bit more into grills, and this won't actually be my first attempt to identify a grill. I tried a couple of years ago and I got confused and just kind of threw in the towel. So this time I'm going to go through all the way from start to finish on my process of how I'm going to identify or verify that this is in fact an E-grill number 88 US stamp. So I hope that you guys enjoy. I hope that you learn. If you're familiar with this stuff, you may notice me struggling, and you may notice if I make any mistakes, which you're more than welcome to let me know in the comments section down below the video if I mess anything up, if I make mistakes, if you got any advice, any pointers, any tips, any good resources like websites or identifier tools or anything that you want to share, you're welcome to. Feel free to chime in the comments. But let's go ahead and just jump into this and see if we can identify if this is in fact an E-grill stamp first. And then I do also want to go through whatever motions are necessary to identify that we in fact have the proper stamp as in a number 88. Because there's a chance that maybe it is an E-grill, but it really isn't a number 88, right? Usually I actually identify the stamp number first, and that seems to be usually the case, but since this video is mostly intended to be focused on grills, I want to go through and try and identify the grill first, and if it is in fact an E-grill, then let's go and identify afterwards what stamp it actually is. So let's jump into it. Alrighty, so I've decided on number 88. For one thing, it's one that I actually have. So, now I have two of them, of all things. Well, this one I bought from the APS store specifically because I love the fancy cancel. This one looks like it also happens to have a fancy cancel, which is nice. I do love my fancy cancels. So, this is the one we're going to go with right here. And the reason being is because it just simply seems like a much cleaner grill on the back. I actually pulled this one out of the mount and was looking at it from behind, and you can see, if it'll focus, you can see the kind of muddied ink spots. There's some handwriting. There's actually a little hinge remaining right at the top right corner there. It just isn't quite as clean, so we're gonna skip using this one. I figured I'd pull it out. This was a big no-no that I was doing. I actually attached to both sides of the mount, so it's actually a real pain in the butt to slide the stamp out without damaging it, right? I kind of regret that. I'm not sure if I feel like trying to detach one side. I might just very delicately and slowly try to slide it back in. So that was a big no-no. Wish that I didn't adhere both sides of the mount. Whoops, of course the plan was that I would probably never need to take these out, so oh well. But anyways, so yeah, we're going to go with this one that I have here, a supposed E-grill number 88. This is supposed to be rose color. Now, I just went looking around. It didn't take me too long. I found my color gauge, so I kind of wanted to mess around with this. I also put this nice little ring. I actually had these together with a rubber band that I wrapped in there and cut. The ring is a whole lot better. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I ever used a rubber band. This is the right way to do it. It didn't come with a ring, which I think is kind of dumb, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, I would have used it. So you kind of got to get your own ring, but for anybody that's interested, this color gauge, is, I believe, oh crap, I'll have to check. I think I got it from Mystic. So anyways, it shows you, kind of a color index, and then you've got all of the different colors and the holes. The point is that you can set it over the stamp and you can check 4 colors at once. Rose tint, okay, so there's our color guide. We're going to try and use that first because there are a lot of this. I think this was an A25, forgive me if I'm mistaken, design in the Scott catalog. And there's a lot of different shades of this. I think my favorite shade might be the pink of all things, but yeah. So this one, the best example of a grill, I want to go ahead and see if and let me tell you, I have not really done this before. I've tried and I got all confused, but we're going to see if we can identify and verify that this is in fact an e-grill. So let's get to it. Okay, so here we are at the microscope. The point is that we're going to be counting these little nubs, right? And these are the indentations, which I'll go look it up and verify whether they should be pointing towards us or pointing away from us, because they could be either or, and it just depends on the grill that you have. So we'll be counting to determine what grill this is, how many horizontal marks and how many vertical marks, okay? And we can also do a millimeter measurement if we feel like it. I'm going to start with simply counting the marks. And just to mention, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. If you wanted to, a lot of people use the scan method, where you just simply scan the stamp with like a high resolution scanner, and then you can mess with, I think it's called the grayscale, to kind of get, I'm assuming, this kind of a view going on, and then you can count them that way. Alternative methods. I just read some people like to take aluminum foil and run their fingernail over the indentations with aluminum foil to create kind of a copy, and then they count it with the aluminum foil. So that's an option. You can use a microscope like we're doing. You can scan it, so whatever way you want to do. I'm sure there's more methods out there, or you could probably just use a magnifying glass is a classic method, I would assume, or a Carson Lumi loop, a jeweler's loop, whatever you want to get a good view, to try to accentuate these indentations, to count them, to identify your grill. I'm gonna make a recording with the microscope, so the audio may not be as good. Bear with me. I'm gonna have to adjust the gain and mess with it. I'm pretty sure the microphone sucks on my microscope. So anyways, I'm going to switch over and just do it live right on the microscope screen, so I don't have a camera in my face. It's easier for me to see, and perhaps you guys will be able to get a better view than what we're seeing right now through this camera. I'm going to look up how many indentations there's supposed to be horizontally and vertically, and then we're going to count them, and hopefully that should be all that we need to identify our e-grill. So anyway, let's get to it. Okie dokie, guys. Hope you can hear me okay. So anyway, here's our stamp. Now, I'm looking online, and we're looking for 14 points horizontally, and then 15 to 17 points vertically. So let's go ahead and try and count these. So let's start with horizontal. We want 14 horizontal. I'm starting with that because that actually seems like the clearest going side to side. These points up here, up at the top, are a little bit muddled, in my opinion, so they're not quite as clear. And anyway, so let's begin looking horizontally and counting that way. So we're after 14 points. Now, also, I do want to say, I can tell literally just by visually looking at the stamp in front of my eyes that the points are coming towards us, okay? They are indented from the front of the stamp towards the back. So that's just blatantly obvious. Anyways, so I've already figured that out. Now, let's count these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, cool. Okay.
just so you guys know, I haven't checked this ahead of time. We're doing this together. So that's good. So we've got 14 horizontal, and we're looking for 15 to 17, which honestly I find interesting. I'd have to learn a little bit more about that. Why would it vary? Um, but I guess anywhere from 15 to 17 vertical indentations. I'm going to go count it with my Lumi loop and try it that way and see if I have better results or am more confident.
Okay, so I just did it with my Carson Lumi loop, looking in there. I will say that it certainly does seem like 17 vertical with the Lumi loop. So here's just gonna mess around with the magnifying glass just for fun, but yeah, the Lumi loop honestly is just about perfect for this. What was this thing? 15? 10 times zoom. You know, if you look at this stamp here, I mean, you can see with just the naked eye pretty much the indentations and the rows and columns. You should actually maybe be able to count this with just the naked eye. As I'm looking at this now, I mean, yeah, this is not difficult to identify these grills, and some of them will be blatantly obvious. Like apparently the A grill is like covers the whole stamp practically. So if you ever had a stamp that you found, a grill stamp, and the whole freaking thing has been waffled, then you probably have an A grill. You know, you'd still have to verify. So anyways, I am quite confident at this point counting it through the Lumi loop. 14 horizontal, 17 vertical. I'm going to go with that. I don't really need to second guess it. I know what I'm seeing, and I'm confident. So there's that. Okay, so just to mention, how did I figure out, what tool did I use to identify what the e-grill specifications should be? Well, I typed in identifying US e-grill stamps into Google. I ended up here at the Swedish Tiger. Okay, now this is actually a great website. I've used this several times before. I forget about it. For some reason, I haven't even bookmarked it yet, which I am about to handle. But so just from that link, it took me here to the different grills. It explains the vertical points down, points up, horizontal points down, what they should look like. You know, they give you examples. And then here they list all of the different specs on how many indentations you should have for each different grill. So right here, the e-grill, pretty straightforward. You know, it turns out it's the only one that has 14 points horizontal. So we didn't even technically need to count the vertical points. I just wanted to. And this is where I got the 15 to 17 points. It tells you what Scott numbers they could be on. So the fact that we do for sure, like without question, have 14 horizontal indentations or points, we know for fact what we have on that stamp is an e-grill. Now we still need to identify the stamp, make sure that it is in fact an 88, but we know for a fact, without question, it's an e-grill stamp. And then, yeah, I had a 14 by 17 on this specific number 88, supposed 88. So that was actually really easy to tell with this information. So they give you a whole bunch of other info about different grills you can check out. Now, I want to take you back to homepage. This I actually just found about 2-3 minutes ago. I've never been to the homepage of the SwedishTiger.com. Man, this is a great site. Like, look at all this different information. I mean, click a Scott number here. So if you already know what number you have, you can just click on it. And let's say we had a 112, it'll take you here, and it always says see below for details. Scroll down, it gives you all the subject, perfs, printer, Scott number, earliest known use. Here's an example. Plate numbers, looks like in print and plate number 1 and 2. This is really cool. The value, right? Well, here we're talking about some different cancel. Whoa, that is a super cool fancy cancel. What the heck? I've never seen anything like that. It looks like an Indian head's face or like an Indian head. I don't know if it is, but it just says, oh, it's a woman in snood. Okay, I have no idea what that means, but I thought it looked like almost like an Indian profile for a minute. But hey, that's really cool. Earliest known use. The design of inspiration, this vignette was based on this guy's 1791 bust of Benjamin Franklin. Wow, cool. The G grill, so it starts talking about different grills, multiples, a block of 30 either. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we're not even on the E grill anymore. This is just a random stamp I chose. But yeah, so that's just just to give you an idea of what's going on. I mean, the amount of information here, like coils, all the different years, that's really awesome. This is amazing. Now, what I usually use, so that's the home page, right? What I usually use is the identifier. So, like, we can just look at this and say, oh, that's our design. This is the visual identifier, which is super similar to this website right here, stampsmarter.org, another unbelievably powerful stamp identifier tool, with all kinds of different things. I have showcased this website in the past. There is a ton of different stuff that you can use. Generally, I almost always use features, okay? And then here, 1847, that's for all older U.S. stamps. It really is, like they say, an incredible U.S. resource. They got Canada. You can ID all U.S. stamps here, not just early stuff. They got plate blocks, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not going to get into it all. This is also awesome, this Washington Franklin ID tool. Very helpful for these 1908 to 1922 Washington Franklin stamps. Holy moly, don't sleep on that. That's a great tool. Those can be a real pain in the butt to figure out, and they break it down really well for you. So anyways, I think probably the most popular resource on this website is the 1847 USA. So when you launch that, it brings you here, which is where we were. And then it's up to you what you want to use. You can use Definitive Finder. I like to use the Visual Finder. It does tell you the year span that this is for, right? So you can use these visual identifiers to just as a base point to find your stamp. You look through a collection, you say, I've got a stamp that looks like this. I don't know anything else about it. Just based on how it looks, let me click on this. Oh, wow. So it'll give you the breakdown of what years, talks about the purpose, colors, types, designs, perfs, the printer, the number. I like all of the infos here. And so let's say if you think you had number 30 or whatever, you can click on it. It gives you a breakdown of everything here. It tells you it's on watermarked. So yeah, I mean, just the information here is fantastic. So anyways, so ours, let's say, where were we? Okay, so visual identifier. So our stamp looks like this, okay, just from looks. So you can say, oh, cool. Okay, so this is what our stamp looks like. And then they give the list of all of the different potential issues it could be. Ours is supposedly number 88. So let's just go ahead and click on 88. It tells you everything about it. Should be perf 12. Hey, it says it's an E-grill. Should be 11 by 13 millimeters. That reminds me, I do want to measure that just to make sure, just for fun. No watermark. It's rose color. It has water activated gum, printed by the National Banknote Company, so, and look, it even has values. Oh man, these are cool. I've bought stuff like this. All right, let me get out of here because holy moly, I won't be able to stop. This one's fantastic. You can use this. You can use the Swedish Tiger, whichever you prefer. I wanted to talk about this for a second. This image here showcases the points, right? Vertical points down, vertical points up, horizontal points down. Okay, what do they have here? Points up. The stamp was embossed up from the gum side. That makes sense, okay? And then points down, it was embossed down from the face side. Ta-da! So I hope that helped you guys when you look at this stuff. When you imagine this stuff, everything is based from the orientation of the stamp actually lying on the desk, let's say, on the surface in front of you, and you're looking at the face of the stamp like you normally would all the time. And if they're down, it's pushed down towards the desk. And if they're up, it's pushed up towards the face of the stamp, towards the sky. So saying that we have points down, this would be correct. Okay, so this thing is supposedly number 88 and supposedly rose. I think that we have a rose tint. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable enough, at least to the best of my ability right now. I mean, this is really all I've got, right, to reference. unless I wanted to get another color guide or any of that, I'm going to say, yeah, it probably is rose. So I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with the color. Now, this is supposed to be a Perf 12. Let me verify. Yep, it would be Perf 12. Okay, so let me get out my handy dandy specialty gauge here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to slap this on the back of a stock card. And throw my perf gauge on there. And, man, the top and bottom perfs suck. They definitely could be in better shape. But let me try to get a look at this. Sorry, I'll do my best. The camera is literally right where I want to put my head. So give me a sec, let me move it away. Okay, looks pretty good to me. I would be calling it a Perf 12. Now let's check it here. This side definitely looks promising. Short story, yes, it appears to be Perf 12. When I check with this gauge, it is not absolutely perfect as a 12. Not absolutely spot on perfect, but it is it's definitely not a 12 and a half or 11 and a half, so I'm going with Perf 12. That is the closest of the measurements. So I'm going to be saying, yeah, Perf 12. Okay. So we can check off. It's rose color. It's Perf 12. We have points down. We have 14 points horizontally, 17 vertical points. So in my mind, we have successfully said it is an E-grill. The color's correct. The perfs are correct. Now let me see if there's anything else that I need to verify for this to be a number 88.
Okay, yeah, so what I wanted to do was just verify. I wanted to figure out what was the original base stamp, like the original release that this stamp was before they put a grill onto it, which would make it a different release. So here in the catalog, here's A25 design, here's our 3-cent Washington, that's what we've got. Let's see, actually the first release for that seems to be number 64. That's the first time I see this A25 actually pop up, so I think that number 64, was the original release of the stamp, happened to be pink, right? It was released in 1861. Well, we don't think ours is pink. I don't. I think ours is rose. So that means that our base stamp should be a number 65. And then it became an 88 when they stamped a grill on it, right? So our original base stamp is a 65. That's what I'm going with. And so released in 1861. Well, they started grilling stamps in 1867. So it does say here it's the same design as our 1861 to 66 issues, right? So that would all make sense. So we've got our 1861 base number 65 stamp that has been stamped with specifically, on our case, an E-grill, which would make it an 88. It's a A25 design, 3-cent, rose color, with an E-grill. Boom, that makes it a number 88. So, I'm pleased with that. I actually accidentally skipped measuring the millimeters of the grill. And so I kind of want to do that. Now I have confidence that we have the correct stamp. I already feel confident. We already know what grill it is. It could only be that one because of the 14 horizontal blocks. So, but let's just for fun, just to kind of like leave no stone unturned, I want to measure the millimeters. And unfortunately, gosh darn it, whenever I try to use that gauge with the camera, it's right in the way of where my head needs to be to actually accurately get a good view of the measurements. So I'm just going to measure it off camera, and I'll let you know if it is the correct millimeter measurements on this E-grill to further solidify that it is in fact an E-grill.
It's spot on. 11. It looks like it's 14 millimeters tall. According to this website, it should be 13 millimeters. If it could be anywhere from 15 to 17 points, then that would make the vertical measurement vary, right? So, um, okay, so we're saying I think it's 14, and 14 vertical, right? So whatever. I'm just going to swallow that variation. Considering that the points can vary, that should logically mean the millimeter measurement will also vary. I'm okay with that. I have never bothered to try and measure a grill like that. And yeah, I think that you all would agree that's probably reasonable, even though it says 13 on the website, that 14 is acceptable considering there's a variation in how many points, yada yada. I think you get my point.
All right, so I took I did a scan of this guy with my printer, 1200 DPI setting, which is the highest that that one can do. I actually have a better scanner. I just didn't want to set it all up. I used it for postcards, and I think that one might go to 1600 or something ridiculous. But anyways, this is as zoomed in as the image will let me go, and you know, look. Here's the truth. I feel like this has an awful lot of promise. I feel like if I got familiar with this enough, maybe if I used it in a different program, I could get into all that grayscale baloney, and I'd rotate this a little, make it perfectly straight. I'd zoom in more. I can absolutely see the promise of scanning these grills, because then you can view it on your computer screen, which, by the way, I could have done with the microscope. I actually forgot. That might have been better for me, but it wouldn't have been as easy because I happen to be filming this. So, anyways, if let's say I, on my own, without making a video, just simply Kyle doing stamp stuff, wanted to try and identify a grill, I might actually lean towards scanning it. Because I just think that ultimately may be superior. It'll give me the biggest view on my monitor, which happens to be like a 55-inch monitor. It's enormous, right in front of my face. I can zoom in. I can change the colors. Whatever I want to do in whatever program to accentuate these these bumps for the grill, and then it probably would make it easier to count. I mean, I can go 1, 2, and I can just like move my cursor. It's much easier than trying to do it by eye through a Carson Lumi loop. And if I could just blow this thing up to be even bigger, which I know for a fact I can do in other programs. This is, for whatever reason, when I scan it, it makes it a what do they call this? Microsoft Explorer PDF image, and so I can go through changing the format. I can go through putting it in a different program. I can balloon it up more. I can rotate it. I can zoom in. Blah 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 blah. I can do all the things that you can do on a computer to my advantage to make this more clear and easy to count the different rows, which it isn't even that bad right now, as is with this, but there's all kinds of stuff I'm sure I could do to make this better, easier, to count these rows and whatnot, or to try and figure out if they're points up or points down, that kind of stuff. I don't doubt it whatsoever. This, without getting further into it, which I kind of regret that I just don't seem to have the desire to do on this video. Maybe I could get into that on another video one day. That's an idea, I suppose. And I bet you this is probably, in all honesty, probably the superior method to at least count these rows and columns of this grill, or any grill for that matter. I really just want to put that out there. I'm sure that there's some of you that already use this and have done it many, many times and are going to say, yep, that's the way to go. Trust me, you're not going to really do a whole lot better than this. And I don't think it's totally necessary, but yeah, of all the options, I really do think this has an awful lot of potential to be the best way to count this and inspect this. So anyways, I'm gonna not go any further with it at this point. You know, hey, if you guys want to see a video where I actually try to delve into the nitty gritty of figuring out what's the best program, what's the best grayscale, I'd have to even learn how to do that. I mean, what settings, blah blah blah. If you guys really wanted me to get into that and make a video about what is the best way to check this grill, or how to use a computer and a scanner to check these grills, what are the best methods, I can try. I'll look into it. There may already be videos out there about that. I guarantee you, actually, 100%, that there are already forums where they've already discussed this and uploaded scans and all that. So you can get into it yourself, dig deeper if you want. If you guys want me to make that video, I don't mind. I can actually learn more about it, dig deeper into it, try it myself, figure it out. I don't actually have a lot of grilled stamps in my possession. I know I have some for sure. This isn't the only one. So, maybe there's other grilled stamps I can get into next time. If I get enough comments that you guys want me to make that video, I will. Otherwise, I won't. So, there you go. So, those are kind of our options, Use a smartphone, use a magnifying glass, use a Carson Lumi loupe, use a microscope. I don't know what other options there really are. Maybe there's others, but seems like that's kind of like the array of choices that you have, besides just obviously using the naked eye. So yeah, I just really feel there's an awful lot of promise here. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. So yeah, that was a little bit painful to get through, but I feel like I've reasoned through it all. So hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please hit that like button. It helps this video get more views. Subscribe if you like my content and would like to see more. Wish all of you the best. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.